Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 16. We are still in season one of the all new Wired Nerdy podcast. My name is Keith. Doug, how is the week going for you? And are you ready for this number 16 episode?
Yeah, the week's going good. We've got some good weather. Finally got some rain. 16 episodes. We're doing great, having really good discussions. We had a really good conversation about Disney World last week. And I've got some follow up stuff. I had some of our viewers and listeners give me some information that they worked. So I'd like to share that with everybody.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. We will pick that up probably after our nerd news. We had an
Yeah,
awesome conversation last week with Leah, who gave us a insider's perspective on what it's like currently to work at Disney World,
it was
cast
very
members
cool.
wise.
Yeah.
Oh, it was awesome. It's cool information. It was a lot of fun. And it's good to see her too. Living halfway around
Yeah.
the U.S. It's kind of nice to catch up as a dad. It was really kind of cool too. So I appreciate her taking the time out to do it, and so I look
Yeah.
forward to you rounding us out with some other perspectives of people that have formerly worked there as well. But today is going to be news heavy because we did not cover the nerd news last week. But this is big because we're pretty much going to double up on nerd news because we're going to be making up for last week. But then some stuff happened this week as well, and then we'll dive into the recap, a follow up that you have about the Disney stuff
Yeah.
before we close things out. So, are you ready to tackle the nerd news, my friend?
Yeah, sounds good. Like I said, we didn't give the nerd news gift to our listeners, and we're doubling down today.
We're
So,
doubling down. It's Christmas twice. We're gonna make it up. So
yes.
here we go. Let's cue it up. Nerd news time.
Nerd News.
All right. So as you all can imagine, we alluded to it. The big event, which there was a lot of things that came out of it, was the Google I/O keynote. Doug,
Yeah.
you were counting down the days to this because you are a huge Google fan. You're a
Oh,
big
yeah.
Android guy. How overall, we'll get into what was announced, like the big highlights of it, but how'd you feel about the conference? I know you even like took time off to like watch it. You were live. I didn't pick it up till
Yes.
later because I was working, but what were your thoughts on it? How did Google do with this keynote?
It was really good. And we've talked before, ever since that first Apple keynote that I watched, I've kind of watched tech releases, whether it's video games, movies, technology, just the way they give information and keep your attention in the crowd's good.
They're entertaining.
They
I mean,
are.
they
They
really
are.
are. Yeah.
And the Google, I'm looking for a new Google phone. I've had mine about 2 years or so. And in technology terms, 2 years probably is almost a dinosaur, which is sad to say. But it's time for an upgrade. So I was looking at this Pixel Fold and
But
kind
it's
of watching all the AI along with it that we'll talk about.
yes, we will. So let's start with the fold. There's a lot of stuff to get into, but let's start with the fold because that has been something that we've kind of hit on before. We showed some footage last time about it. They officially showed that you can do pre-orders starting May 10th.
Yes. Mhm.
And so it looks very unique. Uh, I have some thoughts. Well, I'm going to let you go first because this
Yeah.
is this is the one you've been eyeing.
Yeah.
You're a prospective customer of wanting to pick this bad boy up. What were your general thoughts about? We now have specs, like not leaked specs, but they actually talked about specs. They did live demos. They did, they actually had somebody on the stage do stuff. What's your thought on what you saw in the fold? Are you still in for it, or where are you at with this?
Well, I mean, first off, the it looks great. It looks very premium as you unfold it. I mean, you can see kind of a crease, but I think that's kind of the standard that
It's
there's
normal.
got to be some kind of uh, display tear, not a tear, but some kind of thing in the middle to because you're folding it in half.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it looks really premium. And then you get into the specs. The specs look really good. It's so far the thinnest. So
Hmm.
that's really good on Google's part. The uh, chipset, the Tensor 2 chip, that was really good.
Yep.
But
They didn't
then
talk about battery life, did they? I don't think they did.
no, I don't think they did. But then at the very end, they're like, get it for the very low price of 17.99. And I
Get the-
thought, 17.99. So I've never had a foldable phone, so I don't even know if I want a foldable phone.
That's a good
But
point.
then 17.99, I'm like, no, just to go out and discover what a foldable phone is about. 17.99 is not where it's at for me.
Well, and I looked it up because they didn't. there's analysis because they haven't done testing yet, but it does point out that the Pixel Fold has a 4,821 milliamp battery on board. It says that that means that it's Google's first foldable phone, and it has a bigger battery cell in it than the one that was in the Galaxy Z Fold 7. That's a Samsung product. That's the only other foldable, which is also $1,800, by the way. I want to point that out. That
Yeah.
it's like they're setting that in the market, so it's not like you can go get a better deal. It says just for comparison, the flagship foldable comes with a 4,400 milliamp battery, so you could almost probably do comparative. And they talk about the charging, but it's all speculation until they get their hands on it.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
to me, that is an important factor in battery because you and I've talked about this before. Love Android.
Yes.
The OS is not as efficient as iOS, and rightfully so because it has to operate on different hardware. Androids just notoriously don't do as well on battery life, and I think this is an area of opportunity where there could really be a lot of improvement. But it's not just hardware; it's you can put a bigger battery in it, right? But you also got to be able to tweak the software, the OS. So I'm curious about that because keep in mind you're now having to power a much larger display, especially when it's in like a portrait mode. Now, I loved what they did. They did some really cool things, which I kind of saw done with the Microsoft Surface Duo. Now, keep in mind the Duo had two folding screens. They were not foldable. They weren't one continuous screen. So there was a
Yeah.
bezel in the middle where I loved it. Did you see the YouTube videos? Because they own YouTube. You're watching YouTube video, you set it in an upright position and the video automatically plays on the top, and on the bottom you have your controls. And then
Yes.
if you turn it sideways, it goes full. That was so cool. I love how they're integrating the two screens, but now you're driving a much larger real estate. I would tend to think that's going to draw your battery down. It's probably why they put a little bit of a larger battery in it
Yeah.
than with their competitors. But $1,800 is steep.
Yeah, I agree completely. The dual screen capabilities, especially for like gaming, because you look at, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Nintendo
DS.
DDS. Thank you very much. So you have that top screen, bottom screen.
Mhm.
They could probably do something with Android gaming with that as well.
You know what? That brings up a really good point because there are really good emulation options on Android,
Yeah.
specifically DS games. There's a really good option for emulating Nintendo DS games on it. And if you had that, that you could really take advantage of that two screen thing. That's actually a really good point I hadn't even thought of. Retro
That'd be
gaming on
really
that
cool.
bad boy. It's a good point.
So yeah, to kind of close the Pixel part of the keynote out, it's just a little too pricey for me at the moment, and I've never had a foldable before, so I don't even know if I want one. So
Yeah. And like you and I were talking last week, I went out and I looked, and Samsung is competing with this. Theirs is also $1,800. However, certain carriers, depending on your phone model, they were giving a credit of $1,000 for the
yeah,
Samsung. Now, this wasn't for the Pixel Fold.
yeah,
Through your carrier. That actually puts it in a much more palatable
yeah,
$800 mark, right? I mean, I'd rather spend $800 than
yeah.
$1,800, but I don't know. Think about the gaming machine. I said that to you before. Like, geez, dude, you could build one heck of a gaming
Oh
machine for
yeah,
$1,800. We're talking like with 4090
yeah.
video cards, probably. If you skimped a little bit, don't go full on i9, or even if you did the AMD. Although they're getting the bubbles in them, so you got to be careful with those. Just make sure you update the
Oh
BIOS. Remember from
yeah,
from the BIOS. So yeah, man, the full it's impressive. My only other thought I will say is this, and it's hard to tell underneath the lights. And I was able to see folding display technology at CES. This was a couple years ago, pre-pandemic. My one critique about foldable screens, it's amazing what they can do. They the color seems dull to me. And
yeah,
I had that same feeling when the dude was holding it on the stage. Now, keep in mind, the lights are bright. Technology, maybe I'll give it benefit of the doubt. I want to see one in person. But my concern is it looked dulled out to me. It didn't look vibrant. And I like vibrant, bright
yeah.
screens with high nit ratings and all
Definitely.
that. It didn't, it looked kind of washed out to me. To be fair, that could be the stage, could be the lights. It's kind of hard to do real time. So I want to get my hands on one like the demo that they'll have them in stores, and I would love to see a screen in person. That would be my one critique that I was a little worried about when I saw it, but I love the features of how they're uh, integrating Android OS with that bigger screen. And it's like having a tablet at that point. I love that because I love reading on my tablet, for example. Having that, you don't have to have a second device. Pop that bad boy open. You can read. I love the concept and where it's going. It's just a little too steep in price. So
Yeah. Well, and I think we haven't had foldables that long, maybe a year, 2, 3 years at the most. But
open
I
in the
think,
market. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I think they should hopefully come down as the
They will.
technology. We've had this technology a while, so
Well, there's
yeah,
rumors about Apple getting in that game as well. One of the rumors it was a couple years ago was that the Apple Watch was going to become a wraparound,
no,
which would technically be a foldable screen.
yeah,
So that was a rumor. There's obviously there's rumors that are really hot right now. We'll find out as we head into June about Apple getting involved in the VR game. Anytime you start to have multiple tech companies get in competition, price goes down.
yeah,
Typically, I do think it's interesting. You have the only two players in the foldable space is Samsung and Google, and they're just like, yeah, let's agree. Let's just $1,800. Let's just do it. So they're setting the market price.
yeah.
But I'll tell you what, if they don't sell, which they will at first, but if that starts to flatline, I will call it by the time they release. If sales flatline outside of the initial push of early adopters, you'll see
They'll
the price
drop it
start to go
down.
down. It
Yeah,
always happens. It always happens.
yeah.
So you'll see it. All right. What else from the keynote did you want to get into?
Uh, Obviously, we've talked a lot about AI, and
A
AI
lot.
was big this year at Google. They're doing a lot of things behind the scenes. One of them I tried out today is that's AI called Bard.
Hmm.
So it's similar to, or it's a competition, I guess, to ChatGPT. And I've messed with it a couple times. I've asked it questions. So instead of Google searching, I've been going to Bard, and it's been amazing so far.
Yeah. And I played with both. I've played with the GPT a little bit more only because uh, Microsoft Bing
Hmm.
integrated
Yeah,
GPT into Bing, and that kind of made it a little bit easier to access. Bard early on upon release got a lot of critiques because it didn't
yeah.
seem to be as well trained or as good at responding as GPT. However, these things learn so fast. It's gotten better. The interesting thing is, and I just read this morning. I don't have the article to cite just yet. People have noticed in the last 2 weeks, GPT. Somebody is they put out on Twitter. They were questioning whether or not they quote lobotomized GPT, meaning they're noticing that the results on GPT are coming back way faster, but the answers are not as strong as they were,
Oh,
and they're wondering with a lot of the concern and pushback, especially from those in the industry that are AI researchers concerned about where this is going. We don't understand how it works, that kind of thing. They're wondering if they're pulling the reins a little bit on
hmm,
GPT. Now, Google's full speed ahead, with Bard. I thought it was interesting is that they also announced that Google is going to integrate to compete with Bing. They're going to integrate an AI learning model. Now it's the Palm 2 language model. It's different than what Bard's using, but it'll be integrated into the Google search. And I went ahead and signed up for it. They call it like Search Labs, and I'm on the wait list for it. I'm gonna give it a run through. We'll talk about it, and I'll give you guys a review on it. But it's interesting what they're doing. They're trying to be responsible in the fact that when they do a search, like right now with Bing, it's just straight up GPT, chat GTP, and you get what you get. Like it just spits out whatever it finds on the net. What's really cool about Google is they're going to cite sources. So once this Search Labs comes back, their AI on Google, it'll actually let you click verify,
yeah,
and you can go out and you can cite the sources that it found, and you can compare it to what was said. That's pretty cool, and that's a
that's
neat
really
way
cool.
to deal with the misinformation concern on that.
And that's a whole nother podcast. But the misinformation right now on social media and in the news, Fox, CNN,
Mhm.
whatever your preferred brand is, that's what I worry about. So to have something that verifies, as long as the verification sources are accurate,
True.
would be really good.
Trustable. Yep,
Yeah.
it is. So, yeah, but they're pushing it. Now, it was interesting that Google did mention, the Palm 2 language model, which will be integrated, into, the Google search. They did mention updates to Bard. What's fascinating is the next version of Android, which, what is that? We're up to 14 now.
14, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to have cool names, or at least
Mhm.
I thought they were cool.
They
But
were like food, right? Oreo
yeah,
for
and
O. It was the
ice.
alphabet, like
Yeah,
A, B, C, D, and then each one
key lime pie,
key
and
lime pie
then
for K.
yeah.
Which is
So
kind of cool. Kind of
it
cool.
was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Android, or not Android, Apple did that, but they did it with nature things, OS Max, Sierra, El
Now, did they
Capitan.
have Tiger and stuff,
They
or
did. They like in the early days of, or like Mac OS 10
oh,
first
okay.
launch, they did a series of, they had snow leopard,
Hmm.
lion. Yeah, and then they switched over to parks whenever they did the next revision of Mac OS, and it
Oh,
was like I said, El Capitan, Monterey. They were all places in like California, like national state parks. Kind of cool when they do that.
that's pretty cool.
But
Yeah.
yeah, this is just straight up Android 11, but they are integrating AI into it, and they demonstrated some of those AI tools. Did you see the photo stuff? You have shown me on your
Yes.
Android what you can already do, which I can't easily do with native iPhone. About, like, you've shown me how you can just remove people and
Yeah, it's
things.
called Magic Eraser.
Yep. Well, they're up in their game with AI. Did you see
Yes.
that? What were
Oh,
your
yeah.
thoughts on that? Because it's already,
I,
what they could do already is impressive,
yeah.
but now they're
I,
integrating the AI piece.
I thought it was crazy. Yeah. I mean, you basically get a premium Adobe experience, Adobe Photoshop into your phone for everyday
Hmm.
use.
Yep. They showed the example of it was like a kid on a park bench. I'll see if I can find it and put
Yeah.
it up. And it looked like the kid wasn't centered in the frame, and he had
And
balloons,
it
but they were cut
dragged it
off.
over. Yeah.
They were cut off. They
Yeah.
highlighted it, dragged it over, and the AI drew the balloons and the park bench.
Yes. And it looked real. Yeah. It
It looked
looked like,
It
yeah.
looked really good. It looked really good. Now, after you showed me what you can do with Google, with your Android, I did
Yeah.
download Google Photos, and I have on my iPhone the same tools that you showed me for like the Magic
Oh,
Eraser.
awesome.
It didn't look as good as
Oh,
on your phone, and I don't know why, but when I tried it on some photos, it did it. It erased things, but it was smudgy. It was really, really smudgy.
hmm.
Yours, when you showed me on your device, there was no
It
smudgies.
does.
It looked flawless.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's 'cause on a Pixel phone, you get a more premium Magic Eraser version or edition.
They're probably pulling their punches on competitor platforms, and plus, that tool's made for Android and things like
Hmm.
that. There's
Yeah.
got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason. It's kind of like the depth of field, which is when it blurs the
Yeah.
background, works really good on an iPhone because of all of the cameras, that they have, on the front there. You see all those cameras.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's doing some magic, and I've seen that same depth of field though try to work on like certain Androids, and it doesn't work quite as well. So it's got to be something between the hardware and software is why it doesn't work well. So,
Yeah. I'd say the best use of Magic Eraser my wife and I had is we cut out my mother in law and used it as a Christmas card.
oh my gosh, is she
So
listening?
she already knows.
Okay.
She's like, "This photo looks familiar." I'm like, yeah, I
Mm.
used Magic Eraser. I cut you
Should,
out, but Merry Christmas. There
no,
you
it
go.
doesn't.
Right.
Well, it's a really cool feature.
It
It's
is.
neat to see. I'm glad you brought up Adobe, because the next version of Adobe Photoshop, their whole suite with AI, they're integrating a lot of the AI elements, and it's a partnership between Google and them. So that's going to be very interesting to see
Yeah.
where photos and video go, especially when they're doing it and they're now integrating it into the OS for their mobile
It
market.
it'll be big for content creators and
Oh yeah,
photographers and all kinds of stuff.
oh yeah, it'll be awesome. So, anything else from the keynote that you want to pull out that before we move on?
Yeah, so they talk about different phone models, and I wanted to like see what you thought about the Android, or excuse me, iPhone world. But Android has been coming out the last couple generations with an A model.
Hmm.
So the A model, for those listening, is kind of a lesser specs, but it's a lower price point to get you into the Android world, I guess.
I love
So
it.
my
That's my
question to
opinion.
you, I guess, is do we need the A
Yeah.
models? So I used to be an iPhone user,
Hmm.
shocker, I know, but they had the S and the SE models that
Yep.
were kind of lower,
The
and
the
I
SE
had one of
specifically.
those.
Yeah,
Yep,
the SE specifically.
I think
Yeah.
I had the 4S or SE, and it was
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
That's been
The
a long
S
time ago.
the S used to, at one point, they got weird with their naming. The S was like Siri, so that you knew it was Siri enabled. And then
Oh,
later
okay.
they did SE, which, you're right, is the lower model. They also have minis now,
Hmm.
iPhone minis, which is just smaller screen. So my take on it, I love that they do this, and the reason being is it lowers the price entry point for people who can't really afford it.
Yeah.
Um, it's also great if you have kids because if you're, I've got 4 kids. If you are going to give each teenager a cell phone, it can get expensive really quickly.
Oh,
The
definitely.
SE model really makes it easier, and the mini on the iPhone side really helps. And I'm glad that they do the A for Android on this. I think it's wonderful. And
Yeah.
also, you drop that $1,800 phone and you're out of warranty or whatever. You could go get another phone. No, it's not another fold, but you could get another Android very cheap. And I don't know, it's nice to have options. So I'm glad they do it. That's my
Yeah.
personal take on it.
Yeah, I like it. The having kids thing that would definitely be beneficial. Me, I've always been kind of a I need the best specs. Why? I have no idea. I'm sure I'm not using my phone to its full potential, but
Mhm.
the Pro model is what I've been getting. So the 4XL,
Mhm.
when the Pixel 4XL, that was kind of the Pro edition. Now I've got the 6 Pro, and I've already seen them release the screens for the 8 Pro. So I'm skipping this fold, and I'm waiting till October. Hopefully, get this 8 Pro. So
Yeah, see what the specs are. So
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see how they're moving forward. They're integrating the AI. I think the last piece I do want to bring up about this whole keynote, which is interesting to me because there's this race going on, and one of the things that they mentioned was called Duet AI. Now that's Google's new AI tools for their entire Office suite that they have for Google Docs, Google Sheets, Slides, Meets, and Gmail.
mm,
It says it includes, and they did these really neat demos, features such as composing emails, generating images from text and slides. The features are only available to those on a wait list, which I'm also on a wait list for that, by the way. Microsoft's doing the same thing with Microsoft Office. They're doing the same thing with Word. So, as somebody who lives in these products for work, I think it's awesome. It's a huge time saver. It's great. I'm gonna sound, oh man, I'm gonna sound so old when I say this, but
okay,
I worry about. Remember when we were growing up, and everybody would bitch and complain about spell check. Well, if you have spell check, you'll never learn how to spell,
yeah,
or if you have a calculator, you'll never learn to do the math. Uh, I do worry that if AI starts composing our Google Docs for us, our emails for us,
yeah,
it'll become less personal and we will lose the art of writing or our own. There's something to be said about, of course, I love writing. So to me, there's
yeah,
something about having your own narrative voice. I sound like such an old man. But I'm conflicted because I love the time I can save on being able to at least even to generate a base draft and then edit it.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on AI starting to make suggestions for you, auto responding on emails? What are your thoughts on this? Like, are you excited about it? Like, what's your take? I know you're in a different field than I am, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, being in law enforcement, the thing they tell you about law enforcement is it's 100% fun. Well, no, it's about 5% fun, 95% reports.
Paperwork.
Yes, paperwork, paperwork, paperwork.
Yeah. If I tase
So,
this guy, it's going to be a lot of paperwork. Is that?
yeah, and I mean, I know there's hot topics in the police.
I
We
get
don't
it.
need to talk about
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But most cops are like, I'm not going to do this because it's going to cost me a ton of paperwork and a ton
Hmm.
of court time.
I hadn't thought about
So,
that.
saying that, I'm going kind of backwards to it would be nice to see police reports written, but then we have our own special jargon, our own special
Mhm.
lingo that we have to put in there.
Hmm.
And I kind of got off track there. But
No, it's a good point. I
um,
hadn't thought about how it could impact other career paths like
yeah,
that because you do have tons of paperwork. I have no
mhm,
doubt about that. And I think there's good and bad. Some people say, well, if the AI is writing the report, is it really the police officer's
yes.
perspective? But
Uh,
then think of this time it could save for law enforcement. I
oh,
mean, it
yeah.
could be a game changer.
And you said it perfectly because that's my thought is you are on trial. You are the officer.
Yeah.
You did this thing. You did that thing. You arrested this
Accountability.
person. You are testifying. So is the AI testifying for you? So that's from my point of view. So
That's
I
a great
look
point.
at movie writers, TV
Mhm.
writers, authors, and stuff. The creativity could
Yep.
disappear, and I'm worried about that.
Well, and that's right now. We're in the middle of the
Yeah.
WGA strike, which is the Writers Guild of America. And their
Mhm.
biggest holdout is they want negotiations and protections against AI. They're concerned about studios using AI and them
Which
losing
is
their
great.
jobs.
Yeah. 'Cause
It's
I love the creativity. I mean, you look back on the history of movies and TV and shows and comics, the creativity coming out of people's minds is not AI based, it's based on their experiences and their passions and their love, so I don't
yeah.
wanna see it go to AI. That's kinda my soapbox speech.
Well, and that's the thing is that we're not there yet. In that a lot of people have tested the waters with making AI write poems, music, that sort of thing. However, it's it's going to get there. It's going to be done very quickly. We already have. I know I've shared quite a few with you. Um, the big thing right now, and I know it's a parlor trick, but it's still fascinating. They'll take a musician who's dead, like Kurt Cobain,
Yes, yeah.
and they
They
will,
have been very
yeah, they'll use his voice to sing a Smashing Pumpkins song. Or the other day I saw one Frank Sinatra doing a rap song. I
yeah.
just or Freddie Mercury singing, something more modern like, Eye of the Tiger. It's
Yeah,
fascinating. So
that aspect of it, I think it's cool because that is for entertainment purposes.
it is. But it's a
Yeah,
parlor trick. Let's be honest.
it
It's
is,
not
yeah.
a person. It's
No,
not actually those people who demonstrate their talent or wrote the song.
yeah.
Show that creativity. It's a fine line, but I think the WGA sees where this could go because with training, these things could get better at writing. They could get
Yeah.
better at creativity, and
Well, and if you
mm,
could put in your thoughts, like I'm writer A, I'm writer B. So
yeah,
here's my writer A thoughts, and your AI is trained to write like you think and like
sure,
your writing style. That would be cool.
yep, and that could happen, but
Yeah,
that's got to concern you. Have to style of Stephen King.
yeah,
Somebody writes in, "Hey, here are the characters. Here's the plot. This is my idea, but write this out in the style of Stephen King," and it just spits out a novel.
yeah.
I mean, it's awesome and it's scary all at once, and I do understand how people are worried about the pace of acceleration and it outpacing
Mhm.
our ability to adapt to it.
Yes,
So
definitely.
it's valid concern. So it's weird, man. I'm conflicted. I love the AI stuff, the geek in me, the wired
Yeah.
nerdy in me. I love it, but it's kind of scary too. So,
So before we get on to the nerd news, I'll end it with one of my favorite movies is Wally, and I just worry that we are going to become a Wally generation,
that's a
cruising
good
around
point.
in our little
Those
sofas,
Slurpees,
and
big old heavy
yeah,
set. Those are cool
yeah,
chairs,
yeah.
though. I will say
They
that.
are cool chairs.
I saw a trailer. I'll throw it up. I don't know if you checked it out yet. It looks so good. It's called The Creator.
I have
And
seen a little bit, but it
the
does look good.
the
Yeah,
premise is about AI going wrong. And I know we have a
yeah,
lot of movies like that. We got Terminator. We talked about that, but this one looks like a very interesting take. It's in the far future. The AI decides it doesn't need us anymore. Blah blah blah. You'll see the trailer. Check it
yeah,
out. I'll throw it up, but definitely. I don't think it comes out to the fall, like till September, but we're getting some very interesting takes on AI because I don't know, they're a little bit more scary now because
they
before
are.
you'd watch
Yeah,
Terminator, you're like, well, it didn't really feel real. Now you're kind of like, it's kind of creepy.
yeah,
So, all
definitely.
right, brother, we can keep marching ahead. What is the next thing on our list?
I think we're ready for some news. So
More
I've been
news.
more news. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been seeing so many things, and I believe you may have this right. Tears of the Kingdom, the
I,
new Zelda
I haven't
game.
picked it up at all. And the reason why I played the first one, well, I say the first one, the one on the Switch. Okay, the Breath of the Wild,
Yeah,
so good, very open world, kind of had a Skyrim type feel to it, to be honest, and I loved it. But I didn't get into it.
mm,
I don't know. It didn't grab me like some things do. So I've sat out on this one. Now I've talked to my brother, who is very excited about this.
yeah,
He ordered it. He went out and found one, got it. He said it's awesome. He said
yeah.
he's hooked. He was telling me about the things you can do. What makes it different? You can make stuff like you can craft and put motors on boats in different ways, and it's way more open and it's like new ideas. And the biggest thing that people have said is they don't understand how Nintendo made this game because it runs and looks so good on such really antiquated hardware. I mean, that's like the big common feedback. We're looking at a Metacritic score, which is a collective score of 96 out of 100. Doug,
Which
that's,
is
oh my,
amazing. Yes.
the
Yeah.
user score is 8.7. And notoriously, the user score, that's the population of the users that play it, that's usually way lower than the meta. The meta is professional critic score aggregate. User score is usually way low. It's 8.7. I mean, that's really, really
Yeah.
good. So I've sat out on it, but
Yeah.
um, I don't know. time marches on, I may pick it up. I usually use the excuse of, oh, it'll get cheaper. Being a Nintendo game, it won't get cheaper.
Yeah.
It'll still be like, $70 a year from now. It'll be
Yeah.
$40 maybe 3 years from
Yeah.
now.
You know.
Because they never put those things on sale. But it looks
No,
awesome. I
it
haven't played
does.
it. I may get it.
Now it looks a little different. I won't talk too much about it, but people are creating machines
Mhm.
and like ships and planes and stuff with
It's
it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, the creativity aspect that I didn't know it had it in there, of the things that you can do are just so wide open, and I think that's
Yeah.
what's snagging people is that, there's elements in it that they
Yeah.
put that they haven't had in any other Zelda game, and that it's really creative. But Nintendo, say what you want about 'em, man, they knock these first party games out
Yeah.
of
They do a
the
really good job.
park. It's so impressive. So, if you haven't picked it up, you're a Switch player, you may wanna grab it. Everybody's raging about it. They're loving it. I may break down and end up getting it. Not that I need another game to play because I don't have time to play the ones that
Yeah, they kind of felt made me feel nostalgic. One of our buddies, Jeff, has a collector's edition, and we talked in previous podcasts about we missed the books, we missed the
That's true.
maps and stuff. So saw this collector's edition, and Jeff showed it to us. And I'm looking here. It's got a pin set, like pins you wear in your shirt. It's got
Mhm.
an art book. It's got a metal poster. I mean,
It's a
so they're
nice.
kind of bringing back the old days of getting some cool stuff with
Mhm.
your game, not just a digital version of the game.
Especially something for Zelda. It's been around for so long. It's up there with Mario. It's got a history. So there's people that are just hugely culturally into Zelda, and it's cool that they
Yep,
release a box set like that for collectors.
absolutely. Yeah.
So that's kind of nice. It's kind of nice.
All
Although I
right. Do you
still,
want to grab the next one?
yeah, I was gonna say I'll just keep on marching ahead. Now this
Yeah,
one
yeah.
is fascinating in the fact that it's related to Samsung and the television market space. Now, for many years now, Samsung has been one of the top tier television models. They innovate. They always show up every year at CES. They do cool stuff. Their competitors like Sony, LG. They're always up there, always trying to best each other. However, recently, Samsung admitted defeat and reportedly they have inked a deal with LG, their competitor, for the manufacturing of and supply of the OLED TV panels that they use on Samsungs. It says here that LG display will supply reportedly more than 10 million OLED panels to Samsung over the next few years.
Oh man.
So, it's one of those things that's interesting because it's been such a contested market where they cat and mouse, back and forth. Now, for a little while now, it's one of those things where uh, Samsung's kind of backed out of the market and like they were outsourcing already some of their OLED panels. So they're still doing the design aspect, but they basically have their competitors supplying and manufacturing them. Now I own the first LG. I have an LG right now. It's like an 85-inch in my living room. A couple years ago, like I think 2 years ago, a year ago, I got it for my birthday, and I love it. It's a great
Yeah.
TV. They do an awesome job. I'm getting to the point though, and I've been this way for televisions for a while now. You walk into a Best Buy, a Walmart, because those are the places you got to go. You're not going to
Yeah.
obviously see them on Amazon. They all look the same to me anyway. And I've had suspicions for a long time that they're just using the same manufacturing centers
Hmm.
out of
Yeah.
South Korea, Taiwan. I mean, the same groups. So to me, this kind of confirms what I think has already been an undercurrent of what's been going on, where for survivability, I think these companies outside of maybe Sony, have been already in collusion in sharing technology, even though they're competing, because it's expensive to keep making TVs and putting it out.
Yeah.
So this is about survivability. So what TV do you own? What are your thoughts on this? Like, do you think it's a big deal? I think it's a big deal because it says a lot about the competition as well.
Yeah. So I own a Vizio TV,
I
and
love
I
Vizio.
think Vizio's market has been kind of affordable for everybody.
Hmm.
But the issue I've had, and I don't know, hopefully it's just my model, is that my HDMI ports are going out on it. So
Oh,
I'm
really?
kind of down to one HDMI port.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hopefully that's just me. I know you can like replace the whole motherboard in the back, but otherwise, Vizio very easy to
Hmm.
use. I think you're right that someone possibly is making all the screens for them, and then Vizio, Samsung, LG just kind of puts their own like
OS
operating
on the
system
yep.
OS
Hmm.
spin on it. Yep.
Yep. So another brand is TCL. I think I'm saying that right. I always want to say TLC, but that's the learning channel. But my son had gone back to a curved screen gaming monitor. We took this television, put it in our room as an upgrade. This TV is freaking nice. Like, and it was cheap. I think I got it at Walmart for like $150, and it's a 50-inch. It's crazy how disposable those TVs are. Have you seen brands like that before?
Yeah, the TCLs, I've seen those given away. The first time I saw one was on the Ellen show. My
Oh,
wife loves that. She watches every episode, but Ellen always gave away these TCLs and looked amazing. They were 4K. They had the smartphone apps, everything.
great TV. We watch
Yeah,
TV on it, and I'm always like, wow, this screen looks so
yeah,
good, and it's cheap.
and they are cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. So if your Vizio goes out, dude, you just go to Walmart. You can get yourself
Oh yeah.
like, dude, like I saw a 75-inch at Walmart. No joke. It was like $300,
Oh
350. Now it wasn't like a name. It wasn't a
yeah.
Samsung. It was like one of these. But anymore, with them sharing the manufacturing space and the parts, I'm almost starting to think it doesn't matter much anymore.
Yeah, I anytime I try to buy something, I heavily, heavily rely on user reviews. Hopefully, they're not like generated fake just to generate some
now,
advertisement.
now you're paranoid. So
Oh, I know. But yeah, anytime I go out for a TV or like law enforcement equipment or boots or shoes or anything, I look at the reviews and that's kind of what I base my decision on. So I don't have any brand loyalty per
mhm,
se. I really do like Vizio, but this HDMI burnout, I've had it on two TVs. It's kind of scaring me.
mhm.
So I think I'm going to push just to get away from Vizio for a little bit.
And I don't know. I thought Vizio, I think they're still around, but they went through some corporate things with, and I don't know if they were fully acquired, but they were having some money troubles there for a while,
Mhm.
and they really lost market share because I know they had to deal with Walmart, and they were kind of the primary one for Walmart for a while there,
Yep. They
and
had
then.
nothing but Vizios.
Yep,
Yeah.
and I think that's kind of been walked back. I do know that they're still at Target and a few other places, but I think some others have kind of stepped in that void for those
Yeah.
cheaper market ones. So, all right, man, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, we'll keep trucking, keep going along with Sony and Samsung, and that Sony is holding a PlayStation showcase next week. Now you have a PlayStation 5. I know
I,
you're excited.
I'm so
See, I
excited.
got to talk about Google. You get to talk about
I
PlayStation and
do
Sony.
it. I love my PlayStation 5. Such an awesome system.
Yeah.
We talked about the reasons why. So yes, they're saying I think it's the 24th. Is that correct? They're going to, yeah, the 24th. Now,
Yep.
it's interesting that these are happening. You're going to have these keynotes like this because E3, which was the Electronic Gaming Expo, got canceled. Normally it happened in June, and that's where all the game companies come together. Well, more and more common. Microsoft's doing it. Sony's doing it. They do their own keynotes now. So, yes, they announced that the Sony one will be May 24th. Lots of rumors. For example, they're saying that they're going to have some previews of upcoming blockbuster games like Spider-Man 2, which is by Insomniac Studios. They made that, and then kind of I would call it a 1.0, which was Miles Morales. Ooh, both games impeccable. They do have them on PC, so if you're not a Sony person, pick them up on PC. They're impeccable. They're so good. The Wolverine game, which before we haven't seen any gameplay from it, but they did show like Wolverine in a bar kind of a thing. It was just like a quick somatic. That's all we've seen of it. So we don't know much. Death Stranding 2, which was a really, really popular game before. They also have a new IP, which are, new game topics coming down the way. Other rumors spiraling, which I don't know if we're going to hear it or not, but maybe the PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
That's been swirling for a while now. I don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on that just yet. But we'll see. I'm pretty sure we will definitely see the PlayStation VR2 game announcements. Now the VR2 is out now, so that the actual accessory itself isn't new, but a whole series of games is probably going to come out for it. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always exciting to see some new tech and new games and the developers pushing their stuff out.
And like we talked about before, they always will declare what they think the release dates are, but they may not make it. I'm still,
Yeah.
bro, I know you're excited about it.
Still waiting on Starfield.
Starfield comes out, I think, September-ish. I'm gonna be shocked if it's this year. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put my money down to say I think it will hit first quarter next year. I think they'll push it past Christmas.
Yep.
Uh,
I'm just awaiting.
Yeah.
It's Skyrim and Fallout in space. It's going to be amazing.
But as long as it's stable, right? I mean, I don't mind
Yes.
waiting as long as it's stable and we don't
Yeah.
have a buggy, terrible game. So,
No, I hope not. Yeah.
all right. So I will get the next one here. There's not a lot of information on the next one, but it is interesting and it falls in line with some of what we've been talking about today. Do you remember, Doug, the popular early 2000s, the Motorola Razer? You remember that bad boy?
Oh yeah, we'll
It's,
definitely throw a picture up. I
yeah,
had that thing. It
I
was
did too. I had a
cool
black
to
one.
have that thing.
Ooh,
Yeah,
it's tough as nails too. You
and it
drop
had the
it.
little screen on the front.
Oh yeah.
Woo!
Whew.
Yeah, kids these days don't even know
No.
how cool we were.
Oh man, and the buttons felt so good on it. Like
Yeah.
we didn't do a lot of texting back then, but man, it was a great design. Well, they are going to have the next version of the Motorola Razer. It's going to be June 1st. Leaks have shown some of what to expect and its external display, which should have
Mhm.
some competition in the flip style folding phone race. I'm really curious about that. Do you think they put a foldable screen in it?
It kind of looks like it.
It's hard to tell. All they show is like a side view on this
Like
little
a
video.
concept art. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
So
think so.
that would be cool if they did
Because I
because
don't think people want to go back to the old school like TTY texting and
well, the OS on it was kind of meh, but that was
yeah,
pre-smartphone days. This has got to have a smartphone element. It's gonna obviously be Android.
yeah,
I'm interested to see what they do because the phone had such a cult following. So we'll report on it once the announcement's made June 1. So, but that's gonna be exciting.
very excited.
All right, man. You want the next one?
Yep. Again, AI just needs to be the name of our show this year.
Wired AI.
Yeah.
We need AI host. That's what we
Yeah.
need.
So you actually shared this link with me, and I'm very interested because Tesla is releasing a bot that can now slowly walk and pick up stuff. The reason I say it's interesting is I believe Elon Musk came out and said we need to slow down on AI,
He's been scared of
and
AI for a long time. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess as long as we're not making these robots totally autonomous and self-thinking, they'll be useful.
Yeah. It is kind of weird that he is an alarmist, but
Yeah.
he is developing his own robot. I think that's interesting. It's a bit conflicting. Maybe, and like you said, maybe he's got an angle on it to where he thinks he can control it. you know,
Hopefully.
but I think it was a year ago, maybe 6 months ago. There was a keynote, and he had one of these, but it didn't do much on stage. It barely could walk. Um, and a lot of people criticize, but you got to remember what doing a biped robot is something new. I give them credit for trying to do something, different. But the videos now show that it's full on walking. It's doing simple things like picking up objects. Now it moves very, very slow. I think a lot of people
Mhm.
are comparing it to Boston Dynamics, which those look like ninja robots doing parkour.
Oh, those things are crazy.
Those are the ones that are going to kill us.
Yeah,
So, hey, maybe there'll be a robot war and these will be on our side. So,
hopefully. Yeah. Well, they need to go a little faster because the
I know.
Boston Dynamics has already done like a pirouette somersault over the
Oh, I
top
know.
of all of them. Yeah.
It's insane. I know. It would not be much of a fight if we
Oh, yeah. No,
but it's cool what they're doing. What's
it is.
interesting though, like I think with them getting become unattached with whatever battery source they have, some of the Boston's gotten better about detaching them from a power source.
Mhm.
But I don't know how long those batteries last, but it looks like they're trying to do the same thing where they're not
Yeah.
detached, but
Well,
they
the
do move
thing I'll
very slow.
say is if they use Android software, the battery is going to die real fast.
We need an iOS
Yes.
Android.
Please don't use Android batteries in this. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So, but it's
I
cool. It's
got to
cool
poke fun of
development.
myself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, it's cool that they're doing
Yeah.
this. It's kind of neat. But we'll see where this is going. I always joke that when I'm old, I can just have a robot take care of me. I'd totally be fine with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely like the idea of robots in industries such as law enforcement for dangerous situations and bombs and
You just
stuff.
want RoboCop. Just saying.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, Robocop that we can control. Yeah.
That is true. But remember, the whole idea behind RoboCop was by merging man with machine, you had that control.
Yeah.
They just didn't wipe his memory very good. Spoiler alert.
No. Yeah.
Shouldn't have used a cop that was killed so
What's that?
violently.
40-year-old spoiler alert? Or?
40. If you haven't seen that movie by now, come on, give me a break.
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. So.
Hold on the hate mail. So
But also maybe coal mines. I know coal power, we won't even get into that. But coal mines and
Well,
other dangerous areas.
nuclear. Nuclear's a big
Yes,
one.
yeah,
You could use
definitely.
them for high rad areas, which have been
And they
talked
could
about them.
change out the cores during, refuelings and
All kinds of things
yeah,
that you could do that really could be cool. I know in Japan, they use robots very progressively for food service. They use them for hospital care and for elderly distribution of medications. One of the coolest things I read, now they weren't autonomous robots. I thought this was awesome. People who are invalids who either are paraplegic or they can't walk and they're stuck in bed or home. What they do, they give them jobs at fast food hospitals. They're controlling. They sit in their bed. They control the robots
oh, that's
remotely
really
from
cool.
their beds, and these people can even have interactions with people. So it's a person controlling the robot, and they have a
Mhm,
job. The robot is just their proxy, it's their avatar, and they work at the fast food place, but they're doing it from their bed, and it gives
yeah.
those people a sense of being able to be a part of the workforce. How freaking cool is that? That's
That's
neat.
really cool, and I think that raises their quality of life.
Of course it does.
I mean, makes them
Socialism.
happier, gets them back in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
socialize.
definitely.
It's pretty cool what they can do. Again, we're in a brave new world, man. It's all
Yeah.
it's beautiful and scary all at once.
Oh, absolutely.
It really is. All right, I got the next one here. I said
I know you're excited about this one.
I added this to our news list, and it was so funny because I could tell Doug hadn't looked at the news list because he sent me a message. He's like, "Dude, check this out." And I'm like, "I know, I added it to our nerd news." So Lego has announced that they've created a classic Batman Returns. In a targeted attack on me personally, is what the or it was it the Verge? No, it's Polygon. That's what they said. Everybody's like, take my money. This
Yeah,
thing is incredible. It boasts 3,981 pieces. Uh, it's the Batman Shadow Box is what it is. So it's basically the Bat Cave, excuse me, Shadow Box. So
yeah,
it's from 1992's Batman Returns movie. And it has all kinds of cool working lights. It's got movable little bits inside of it where you can change or move his costume display, a batarang cabinet. This thing is it's really impressive. It looks like it's about 20 inches wide, 11 inches tall, and it's the entire Bat Cave. And this bad boy is going to go for $450. I'm rounding up because they love doing the, 449.99 kind of
yeah.
thing. It'll be available in the general public June 8th. Now, I'm not a big on Legos anymore. Was when I was a kid. I know a lot of people love them. You look at some of the Star Wars builds; they're really expensive, but they're beautiful.
Yeah.
This is a cool addition, especially like why 1992 Batman Returns. I don't know. It does coincide close to the Flash movie time frame. I will say that. So
Yeah.
maybe you know that's one
I
of those
still
things.
think Michael Keaton is the best Batman by far.
You've said that. You said
Yeah.
that. Now, uh,
I know I may get some
yeah.
hate mail and some
No, I
differing
agree.
ideas, but he
Yeah.
just did a great job. It was the classic Batman, in my
I'm
opinion.
excited to see him in the Flash because I'm sorry,
Yes.
he is my Batman too. Don't get me wrong, I love Christopher Nolan's Batmans. They're so good. Batman Begins.
Yeah.
There's just something about the Michael Keaton Batman and the aesthetic that they hit. Love Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. I'm so
Yeah.
excited to see him back as Batman. It seems like the Flash movie. I tell myself, while I'm not an Ezra Miller fan who's playing the Flash because of all his nonsense, this feels like a Batman movie to me. And I just tell myself, this is really a Batman movie. Flash just happens to be in it. That's what I tell
Mhm.
myself. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but I love that Lego's doing this and that they're, kind of catering to nostalgia on it. So I don't know, man. It's pretty sweet. I'm not going to pick it up. I don't do Legos anymore. I don't have the time, but it's still cool. I can appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah. To kind of wrap this up, some of the Lego sets I've seen are so massive and impressive.
Oh,
The Millennium Falcon, that thing is huge, and I
takes
would
forever to
just be
build.
worried.
The
Yeah.
Death Star. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I watched a fast time lapse build of that bad boy.
Yeah.
Whoo. It's impressive.
So if you all have the time, go out to YouTube and look for Conan O'Brien Millennium Falcon Lego.
I know.
So
I've seen
one
it.
of his
Jordan.
assistants,
He's
Jordan's, yeah, he
I love
brings out
Jordan.
this Millennium Falcon. Hey, Harrison Ford, yeah, aka Han Solo, can you sign my Millennium Falcon? Oh yeah, sure. And then and just shatters to pieces.
And I think
So
before that, and it's a running bit on Conan because I love Conan. Jordan is a very dry character.
yes,
It's all fake, but it's funny. Jordan's very serious. He never laughs, and Conan trolls him all the time. And I think at one point Jordan's like, "Yes, it took me, it was insane, like 50 hours, but something like
Oh,
that.
to put that together,
And
yeah.
Harrison Ford drops it.
And I
And
mean, Harrison Ford clearly,
yeah,
like, fumbles it
dropped.
on purpose. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
it
did.
wasn't his acting skill wasn't that good that time, but that's okay.
I think
It
that was
was
the point of the
hilarious.
comedy, is that
Yes,
because the
yeah,
running thing with Harrison Ford is that he can't really tolerate the fans. Like,
no,
there's one where, Jordan, the same guy, asked him some trivia. He's like, in the original release of Empire Strikes Back, the Wookiee was blah, 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 blah. And he's going down this thing and he's like, what are your thoughts on this? And he just looks at him and he goes, I don't care. He
yes,
has
yes.
disdain. So it's kind of a running bit with Harrison Ford there. So
So speaking of Harrison Ford, in a couple episodes, or maybe more, I can't remember, we are going to do a review of
Indiana
Indiana
Jones. I'm
Jones,
so
and
excited.
I'm so excited.
June
Yes.
is such a great movie month between The
Yep.
Flash, Indiana Jones. Dude, I am excited.
Yep.
Now, I already read something today where people are like crapping all over. They saw a preview of Indiana Jones. Oh, it's garbage and they shouldn't have him back. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how old he gets.
Yep.
Bring him back. I'm excited about this movie. I think it's going to be awesome. Crystal Skull, I loved it up until the end. I won't spoil it for now, although it's been out a few years. I'm just glad they did not make Shia LaBeouf the new Indiana Jones.
Yes. Thank God.
So yeah, at the very end, whenever the hat uh like falls, they make it look like he's gonna pick it up, and then Harrison
Yep.
picks it up. I love it. So
Phew.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be great. I don't care what anybody
Yeah.
says. I'll be sad if it's not. All right, man. I'm gonna let you pick between. We got two left here. We'll round this bad boy out, and then we'll finish out our deal here. Which one do you want to
Yeah.
pick? I'll let you pick one. Run
I'll
with it.
just continue with AI. AI has been our theme for the last couple shows, last couple months. And now this interests me, and I hope I never get that way. But I have a hearing aid, and there's some AI coming, and there's always been some assistive things on phones to help those hard of hearing uh, with hearing aids and other like vision problems and stuff. iPhone is releasing a feature on their new phones that can clone your voice in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, awesome and
And
scary.
yeah, awesome and scary.
Yep,
So I look at it awesome wise for those with
accessibility.
disabilities and stuff.
Mhm.
Really good. But I also look at it as a danger of cloning phone calls
Sure.
and scamming people out of money and stuff like that.
Yeah, hopefully, knowing Apple, they'll put some controls in place for
Yeah.
privacy and that sort of thing. I'm with you. I love it when technology can enable people with disabilities to live better lives. I think this is great. We talked about it before with training the AI model. Like when Val Kilmer had throat cancer, couldn't talk anymore. They've reproduced his voice in AI. They've done that.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. They've done it in other ways with people who deceased, like Anthony Bourdain. But to give somebody who can't talk anymore the ability to speak or choose their voice, I
It
think
sounds great.
it's a beautiful thing, and I'm glad. I'm glad that Apple's doing this. And there's been a resurgence as of late of tech companies doing stuff for accessibility with people with disabilities. Sony just released their version of a controller for people who are immobile, so they can play PlayStation.
Yeah.
Xbox had won awards. They already had one before that. It was a beautiful thing. I love that these companies are doing it. And what's really cool is they share their designs and their approach to accessibility so that other groups can do it. I like that the competition isn't getting in the way of it and they're just trying to help people. I think that's cool. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. All right. I get the last one here, right?
All right. Yeah.
All right. This is going to be an interesting one. Uh, so very recently, within this past week, Montana has signed a bill in to their state law banning TikTok, the social media app, within the state. The ban is the first of its kind in the United States. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. It's talked about at the federal level. It prohibits TikTok from operating within the territorial jurisdiction of Montana and demands mobile app stores make the app unavailable for Montana residents. Now, IT guy here. I think this is really hard. They're going about this the wrong way, and I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a moment.
Yeah.
So a lot of these apps are Chinese backed. The problem with that is that the Chinese government, if you operate out of China, they have rules where the government basically can demand any data they want from you. There is no autonomy, there's no privacy, and there's concerns for harvesting data and doing wrong things with it, training AIs, impersonations, all that. So legitimate concerns here. However, and TikTok is, one of those apps that is Chinese backed, owned by a company called ByteDance. We had the CEO get in front of Congress. They look like complete idiots because they ask the dumbest questions on the planet. Like, well, if it's on my Wi-Fi, then you have access to my Wi-Fi. They just
That's our
point.
people making laws for us. Yeah.
It's like they don't understand. So
Yeah.
I like, why can't they at least have like IT people write the questions for them to
Right.
sound halfway
Absolutely.
intelligent?
Yeah.
Either way, here's the thing. I have a problem with this. This is going to be so hard to enforce, even if they wanted to. There are VPNs where you can spoof yourself outside of Montana. You can give yourself an IP address from anywhere in the world on your phone, and you can get TikTok and be just fine. How are you going to enforce this? Oh, police officer pulls you over. You're a cop. Like, are you
Yeah.
going to pull? Can I see your phone? Do you have TikTok? I'm going to write you a ticket for TikTok. Come on. How are you going
Yeah.
to enforce this? Like, from a
No,
law
not at all.
perspective, it's so easily sidestepped. And the reality is that the youth are very intelligent. They're going to 7 weeks from Sunday, get around this. This is so
Mhm.
stupid. Last thing I'll say about this is because I just think they're going about it the wrong way. They're trying to restrict these apps out of legitimate concerns. They're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
We should do what Europe did over a decade ago, and we need to enact privacy, data, governance laws to protect people. Basically, what that means is that, and we kind of already have that with HIPAA and health, but we need digital laws to protect our digital footprint, meaning that any company that buys and sells our personal data or our digital footprint has to honor restrictions across the board. The only reason why we've not done that in the United States is because we're the home of Facebook and a few other social media conglomerates, and they don't want those restrictions. When they operate inside of Europe, they have to adhere to all of Europe's
Yeah.
data privacy rules. And that includes TikTok. You don't hear a lot about TikTok and these Chinese apps in Europe because they basically, if you're going to operate in this country, we have federal level, national agreed levels to protect data. And that means that even if the Chinese government asks certain things, you're now in violation of ours and you can't operate here.
No.
We're treating the symptom and not the source here. So it's a bunch of people that don't know technology. I'll get off my soapbox. Sorry, I got on my rant.
No, I agree with you. I know a little bit about IT. You've obviously got the knowledge there, but my thought is, can we do a VPN?
Easy.
If you're in Montana,
Yeah.
VPN, then I'm not in Montana, and they can still use the app.
Cake
So there's got to
in two
be
seconds.
a
Yeah.
better workaround.
Yeah.
I
There
like
is.
the data thing, sponsored by our federal government. That would be good. I think that'll help us. But and I could be wrong here. Facebook and all these big companies have lobbyists. Don't restrict us. This is how we build our business, and this is how
You're not
we
wrong.
generate our information.
You're right. Look, there's a saying: if something is free, then that means you are the product. You're
Yeah.
the commodity. If
Yes.
you're on Facebook, if you're on anything, and don't get me wrong, I use services that are free too. If they're giving it to you free, they're
Yeah.
making their money either through ad sales and, I'm not going to say or because it's and, selling your personal data. When you sign up, you give them your birth date, you give them your address. That's how you get on robocall lists. That's how you get things. I mean, you are the commodity. The minute we put data privacy restrictions, and in part of Europe, for example, what they do, and it's not a perfect system, but it's way better than what we have. You have the right in Europe to ask for a report, and they're required to, when they sell your data, to know where it goes. Now, a lot of companies in the US have tried to do that, but it's not governed. We don't know
No.
if they're giving you an
No.
honest report or not. But the idea is that it would hamstring them from selling your data so that they can just make money off of you, even if you're using a free service. It makes it definitely difficult to operate in the European market. And that's good and that's bad.
Yeah.
So, and you're right. You got lobbyists that block all that because you're the commodity. If it's
Yes.
free, you're the product, my friend. So that's the reality.
I'll close this out in saying that Fallout fan here, but is Facebook Vault Tech? Are they doing experiments on us in the background?
I don't know. I'll tell you about Facebook. Facebook is for old people. It's going to call it the younger generation. We're talking 20 and up. If they're on it, it's because their family requires them to. Uh,
It's
Facebook's
definitely a photo sharing app, and I'm one of the old people. The only reason I get on there is to learn when Thanksgiving dinner is in my family chat group,
and it's
share
good for
my
that.
photos with my family, and that's it.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's good for planning thing. It's good for connecting. However, it is definitely its demographic has shifted, and they have struggled to get the newer audience. The thing is that worries everybody too is that the newer generation is on TikTok. They're
Yeah,
on things like that.
yeah,
So, because it's one of those things where the demographic has shifted to it. So I do know Facebook is trying to diversify. They've invested heavily into Oculus for VR, which is cool. They face planted on their new Facebook VR experience. Everybody made fun of it. It looked like a big cartoon. It did not
it
go
did
well.
not look good at all.
No, it did not. I don't know. We'll see. It's interesting to see where all this stuff is going, but
Yeah.
yeah. All right, man. So let's round this bad boy out. What is it that you wanted to put a bow on for the Disney thing? You talked to some people who worked at Disney, not currently, but had in the past. What was the shares that you had from our episode last one that we had?
Yeah, first off, I want to thank Leah for taking time out of her day. I know she had worked all day and she's working the
Yeah,
next day
yeah,
to
trooper.
talk to us. I learned so much information. And since that podcast aired, I got some private comments of, hey, your episode was really great. Here's some more information that I thought was interesting. So I talked to Heather. Uh, she worked at the Magic Kingdom. Her job was embroidering Mickey ears. You know, you get a
Yep,
custom
your
Mickey
name.
ear with your name and stuff. Um, she said it was really fun. Now, her husband, we talked to him. He is a conservation guy. He kind of controls wildlife and stuff around runways. Um, Disney has their own conservation department. You know, Florida has
Yeah.
some famous wildlife and stuff.
Mhm.
So they have their own kind of conservation department to take care of those birds and gators and other things.
Hmm.
Um, that was really cool, I thought.
That's fascinating. That's really cool. That's neat.
Talk.
How big that machine is and all the
Oh,
different
yeah.
job types. Yeah.
Yeah. There's just so much going on in the background that the public doesn't get to see
Mhm.
to make this such a well-oiled machine.
Yep, and that's what we heard with Leah, and then hearing that now from those that have worked there, it's just a massive organization. It's
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's impressive how big it is.
Yeah, and I kinda asked Heather, "What's the best time to visit?" Because I haven't been, I know you've been, a lot of others have, I really wanna go. She's telling me, February is probably the best time, all the kids are back in school. Florida temperatures range between 55 and 75, so, some February coming up, I'm probably gonna finally make the trip and get to experience all the cool stuff.
Well, you do. You're definitely going to be reporting back. So,
Yeah, yeah.
although it's up to my brother, he's going to make you take a mic with you, and
Oh, yeah.
because I've got a trip coming up. He was trying to convince me to bring a cloth of green so I can have a green screen.
Oh, there you go.
So don't worry though. Jug and I are putting together a plan for as vacations comes in. We're going
Yep,
to try to stack some of these up. Now, I don't know how current the nerd news will be. We're working through that, but they may be more topical.
yeah,
But we are going to work through that as we head through the summer because I know everybody takes vacations. So, dude,
yeah,
we're at the round at this. So let's go ahead and close this number 16 out. This has been an awesome conversation. Lots of activity in the nerd news, man. Some fun stuff. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
yeah.
Doug, what are your parting thoughts to close out episode number 16, my friend?
Hey, thanks for listening to us. Thanks for all the comments in the background that really help. Thanks for giving us feedback. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Give us feedback like that. And hey, check out our merch store. Help us pay the bills. Look at that. That is
It's
beautiful.
beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. I just ordered the drawstring bag off of there as
Ooh,
well. You all saw Leah, if you watched the video, her pink hoodie she had, wired nerdy hoodie. So yeah, go to our website and check out our merch, man. And we
yep,
appreciate everybody listening. This is a fun ride as our
yep.
audience grows, getting able to interact with everybody, share really cool stuff. Every time we share stuff, you guys give us feedback and share stuff. It is so cool. It's like a community that
It's
we're
really
building here.
awesome.
So
Yeah,
thank you, everyone. Have a great week. We will see you at episode number 17 next week. Take care, everyone.
yep. See ya.